This is a video review of Transformers Classic Jetfire. I know I reviewed this figure quite a long time ago now, actually. It would have been one of my first reviews. I'm re-reviewing it now because this guy's just come out, and I figured, why not? And this is actually not the same one that I reviewed back then. The one I reviewed back then is this one, and when I reviewed this one, I mentioned that it smelled because of where I stored it or something, and it still kind of smells, but the reason I have a different one now is because the hinge way down in there for this part of the transformation where this swings down to here, that actually broke. So the only thing holding it together is that peg down there. So I ended up getting a new one, and this new one, I really like it. It's a really well put together one. It does not have some of the quality control issues I had with the original, so I'm very pleased with this. And I've actually also done some modifications to this one. I'll tell you what they are when we run into them. Now, first up, this is the jet mode, and I've never really been a big fan of this jetpack right here. It's just too big and it ruins the jet silhouette. I mean, it looks impressive, but it overshadows a jet, and you really should never overshadow a jet when your job is to be a jet. So here's the jet mode. Now I'm gonna yank all this stuff off. Pull this off. I'm gonna pull these off because I've never really been a fan of how this gun splits apart. The two halves don't really look good, and trying to make them straight in the fist here is kind of hard, especially because the arm here, it taps into the leg, but it doesn't tap in that well. So the only way for it to really work is if you're not trying to shove stuff or align stuff, which is why these are great, because they're ratcheted. So anyway, I pulled off that stuff, and this is the jet mode that I like the best. It's not entirely plain because it still has these missile launchers on his arm, but it's basically plain, and this is I like it best because nothing distracts from the jet. It's just a really nice, beautiful jet. I love its silhouette, just how it goes from not super fat down here, but from thin to a little bit thicker, but thin. Now, one thing you'll notice is that the back end here does not look quite right. It should be more boxy back here. I'll tell you what I did there in a minute. Now, anyway, to transform this guy, we'll pop up the landing gear, pop up the landing gear, pop this forward, fold these flat, and to start this, we're going to take the arms, pop them out like this, rotate these forward, and these things, they just pop off. They're little hexagon pegs that clip in right here. So we'll continue pushing these up like this, and they'll ratchet into place on these little black bars. So all the way up, all the way down. I like to pose them a little bit while I do it. And then we're going to take the cockpit here, we're going to pull this up, bring this down, split the nose of it, the very tip of the nose, bring it to the side, push this down, and push that all the way in. Take the head, rotate around 180. Then we'll take the back here, pop it up, and then peg it in like that. Slide these down, and spread the feet. And this is Jetfire in robot mode. And as much as I was a little bit critical of it when I reviewed the Lear class version, I really do like this robot mode. It's chunky, and it's not graceful, but it's big, chunky, and beefy, and it does look intimidating. This is the close-up on the head. It's got really nice sculpting, and it does have the same helmet gimmick as the Lear class version, although I don't think it's quite as well executed here because without the helmet, his head is really, really tiny. The only way that looks proportional is when he has the large helmet head. Now, I talked about what I did with the feet back here. I'm going to show you what the original one looked like. The original one, the feet look like this. They're kind of boxy. And the problem is that his foot was from here to here, not from here to here. And it's because these bits right here interrupted the contact between these two parts. And the problem with that is it meant that this thing, he could not really stand with it. He would just always fall back. So let me show you the difference between the two different types of feet. So here's the first foot, and he's just falling back. I mean, I suppose I could put some effort into posing him better, but he's falling back. He cannot stand with it. Now let me show you how well it works with my modified foot. So put this on, and he's standing. I mean, he'll still fall back kind of easily, but that's just because this thing is so massive. I mean, that's why he needs better feet in the first place. That's why I did this modification where I flattened out the inside of his foot here. And I really should take some sandpaper to sand it down a little bit more. Currently, I just took some they're the kind of clippers that you use when you're building models, sprue clips. I use some sprue clips to start the cut along here to get started, and then I just smooth it out with an X-Acto knife. I really should sand that, but anyway, like this, he sands so much better, and I actually can tolerate him having this giant backpack on now. One of the big complaints I had about this figure the first time I reviewed is just that he can't normally stand without him. Now anyway, now he has his gun, the one that split apart, and all armored up. He looks really good. In fact, I say that this figure looks a lot better with his armor than the leader figure does, because the leader figure looks nice with his armor, but you really can't see most of it, whereas on this one, it is very evident. Now, one thing that's really nice about his fast pack is you can pop this up, and you get little guns that spring out, and then they form over-the-shoulder guns. And like this, he does work a little bit better with his old-style foot because it puts more of the weight forward, but I'm still happy with the feet like it is like this because now we don't have to have the guns out, and I get better posability out of him because if I want to do any weird angles with his feet, there is a heel now, a heel that will support him. So this guy, he doesn't have the best posability ever. Like, his legs just, they start going in and out, then they go forward and back, and then you get the knees, and then you have not a thigh rotation, but basically a foot rotation. So his legs are kind of weird. This makes it so that his posability actually works. So, anyway, this has been a review of the Classics Voyager class Jetfire figure. And I really do recommend it, but I recommend doing that foot modification I showed you. And I don't know if I'll do a video about it because it's kind of a rough mod, and I described it well enough that most people should do it. But if I do a video about it, I'll show you how to do the process on this guy. So anyway, I review Power Rangers, Transformers, Digimon, Macross figures, and lots of stuff like that. If any of that sounds interesting, please subscribe, and thank you for watching.